Hello and welcome to Ryno's Ravens Review. Please like and subscribe to the channel. So, happy birthday, belated birthday, Odell Beckham Jr. Finally got your first touchdown of the season. Yeah, it was in garbage time, but that's not really our fault. It was the Seattle Seahawks' job to stop the Ravens from scoring. Well, we had our backup quarterback in there and he still threw a touchdown pass. So, still counts. Other notes before I get into everything. Another epic beatdown in Baltimore. Wow. You can see the score right here on BaltimoreRavens.com. This is the home page. Seattle Seahawks 3, Baltimore Ravens 37. The offense finally closed out a game. Yes, they didn't run the last play, but what they did was controlled the clock and the ball, at least in the second half anyway, and put more points on the board in the second half to increase the pressure on the Seahawks, or also to decrease the pressure on your defense to get a stop to ensure victory. Something to keep our eyes on later on in the week. Lamar, during one of his runs, got kind of... Who was the tackler? I don't even remember. It's not that important who the tackler was, but the way he tackled Lamar, kind of behind a little bit, fell with his body kind of on Lamar's ankle, slightly weird. Lamar was hobbling a little bit. He didn't come out of the game. He played several more downs after that. But, you know, when you're in the game, your adrenaline's high, your muscles are loose, everything's warmed up. See how, going cold again and then trying to warm everything back up for a practice and maybe even a game this coming week. We'll see how that goes. All right, let's take a look at the Game Center stat page here. Lamar Jackson completion percentage. Well, I don't know the percentage here because it doesn't actually give you the percentage, but 21 completions, 26 passes. Wow. Who'd have thunk he had it in him, right? Yeah, he has a lot of weapons, and I know I mentioned that it's almost too many weapons, but this is something that happens. You have a lot of weapons on the field. It makes it harder to cover everybody. You can take Mark Andrews away, but then you're moving coverage away from Beckham or Bateman or Flowers. It does make it harder to cover everybody. So somebody will be open. And it did seem like maybe at certain times they were doing the Ravens offense quicker passes. Now they did take a few shots downfield, which they didn't hit on any of them. Lamar overthrew his receiver, at least 2 or 3 of the times? I can't remember. Which isn't great. You would like them to actually be able to hook up on those, but it does make the defense honor that. You can't cram both safeties up in the box if your opponent shows that they are willing to throw the ball deep down the field. The bad thing about that is if you want to throw the ball deep down the field, you got to pass block. And it's tough to say whether it's the Ravens actually having trouble doing it or, in the Seahawks case, them actually getting after the quarterback well. You don't want to say, oh, the Ravens pass blocked like shit, and you're kind of saying, well, the Seahawks in their pass rush didn't really do anything. It was all the Ravens blocking. And on that note, to putting the ball on the ground. As I mentioned, you want to take deep shots, so you're going to have to hold on to the ball a little longer. And something I mentioned in some of the previous shows, Lamar dropping back a little too far. You're in the shotgun, you're already 7 yards behind the line of scrimmage. You take the snap and you drop 3 more yards back. Now you're 10 yards behind the line of scrimmage. Gives those edge rushers a lot more room to get in there after you, because the tackles are trying to make a pocket. That's why, it's a pocket. You cannot just drop back farther, because then it takes your offensive linemen out of at least your tackles, takes them out of the play. And what happened? Edge rusher was able to get in there behind Lamar, and when Lamar reared back to throw, knocked the ball out. Again, ball on the ground. And Seattle was able to fall on it. So, still having trouble maintaining ball security. And Odell Beckham, the same thing. When was this? This was before the half. It was kind of a fluke play, because under normal circumstances, I think Beckham would have been ruled down. The problem is the way he was tackled. The defender kind of got a hand or a limb in there under him, so Beckham wasn't able to, touch the ground with, say, a knee or his elbow or a butt cheek. And the ball was popped out. So twice. Even in a 37-point victory. Well, I guess technically they scored 37 points, but Seattle scoring 3, so it's a 34-point victory. Victory by 30 points? 34 points? Sure. Still put the ball on the ground twice. It's not that good. It's kind of a bad thing. What else do I got here? The deep shots. I remember the deep shot. And because of those deep shots that I mentioned, it does make your opponent keep one safety deep. You can see here, right below the quarterback numbers, all the rushing totals. Yeah, you got Huntley and Jackson on this list, because both of them had a few rushes. But look at Keaton Mitchell, Gus Edwards, Justice Hill. 9 attempts by Mitchell, 5 attempts by Edwards, 13 attempts by Justice Hill. Not too much going on between Edwards and Hill. 92 yards between the two of them, which isn't terrible. Edwards had a long of 42. But Edwards is the hammer when you get in the goal line situation, which the Ravens did a few times. He's the guy that's going to get the ball more often than not to run it anyway. And he got himself 2 goal line touchdowns. Take a look at this. This is Keaton Mitchell. Wow. Kid looks fast. On his touchdown run, he took the ball off the left side, got through the line of scrimmage, and then there's, I want to say, 2 defenders in the middle of the field, and then maybe another defensive back to his left, and he just split the gap with his speed. It looked like he was going so fast that by the time he crossed the goal line, he was so off balance he fell down. It's a good thing he fell down in the end zone. But first NFL touchdown for rookie Keaton Mitchell. And as you can see, 138 rushing yards on only 9 attempts. Holy shit. So yeah, when we talk about Lamar Jackson and his high completion percentage, somewhat low numbers, given that he completed 20 passes for 187 yards. That's not that good. That is less than 10 yards of completion. But high percentage pass game are almost like long handoffs. They're high percentage. You're not going to stop the clock too much. Keep that clock rolling. keep your defense off the field. That helps a lot. When I get to NFL.com, you'll see the stats. But the Ravens, almost 40 minutes of time of possession. No, they were over 40 minutes time of possession. The Seattle didn't even hold the ball 20 minutes. That's and that leads to, well, I mean, not necessarily leads. That goes along with what I'm saying about closing out a game. You need to be able to run the ball. And if you're trying to get a first down, which you're always trying to get first downs to close out games, maybe try to use those shorter passes that are higher percentage just to, let's say, keep the defense guessing. If they're playing run, then you're just going to have a hard time running. So you're going to throw the ball a little bit. And what I like to see here, because Huntley is the backup quarterback, and I assume because Likely is the backup tight end, they would be considered second teamers. So Likely got a few more targets this game than normal, mostly because Huntley was in there, at least I assume. 4 catches, 42 yards, which I like to see that because I think Isaiah Likely is a very good backup tight end, and I don't think he gets used as much. Mark Andrews still your featured guy. Actually, before I don't want to get too much into this, let's go to NFL.com stat page. See NFL's page. I like the way they set up their stats better. Especially when it comes here. Well, I mean, you can see averages here. Rushing per 15 yards per attempt was Keaton Mitchell's average. Wow. Gus Edwards was still at 10. I mean, Justice Hill really couldn't get going that well. But, I mean, 3 yards a carry ain't that bad. All right, what I really like is the targets here. NFL.com likes to put the targets in there too. So Andrews 9 catches, 80 yards, 10 targets. Beckham Jr. 5 catches, 56 yards, a touchdown on 7 targets. Isaiah Likely 4 catches on 4 targets, 42 yards. Most of that was from Huntley. I think maybe Lamar threw him the ball 1 time. Rashad Bateman 5 targets, only 3 catches, 28 yards. Zay Flowers, I guess possibly because the Ravens ran the ball a lot with Keaton Mitchell, Gus Edwards, and Justice Hill. And the fact that Keaton Mitchell brings that speed factor to the running back room. You don't go looking for Zay Flowers to do it on an end around. So what I kind of like to see is give Zay Flowers a bit of a break here. Let some of the other weapons you have carry the load a bit. Only 1 target for 11 yards. Devin Duvernay got in there a bit at the end because Ravens rested a lot of guys on in the last quarter, really, because they were up by 30-something points. So Duvernay, 2 catches, 2 targets, 10 yards. Aguilar, 1 catch for 2 yards, 1 target. Justice Hill, 1 target, couldn't reel in the catch. Keaton Mitchell actually got a catch, was behind the line of scrimmage, and he was tackled immediately. Jamal Adams, safety for the Seattle Seahawks. I mentioned that he was a good player. He blew this play up, dropped Keaton Mitchell for a loss. All right. I mean, it's very good performance by the offense, but let's get into some of the defense. And here you can see the fumbles. Yeah. Jackson. Oh, yeah, that's right. It was at the mesh point, I think. I rewatched the game. I couldn't find where it was, but here it says 2 fumbles. One of them lost. The one lost was the one that was stripped by the linebacker coming on the backside, but still kind of bobbling the ball a little bit at the mesh point. You got to get that locked down. At least I think it's what it was. I honestly can't even remember. Beckham here, that's the one he lost. Van Noy, UC, forced fumble. Why they don't have God, who was it? Was it Jones or was it Washington that fell on the ball? Not sure why they don't have them listed as, in this little REC for recovery column. It's kind of odd, but it's like, why do you have this column if you're not going to put anybody in it? Van Noy, not necessarily to close out the half, but Beckham's fumble should be in here somewhere. Where is it? Here, right here. You see how you got these two fumbles back to back. This one here by the Ravens was Odell Beckham Jr.'s fumble. And then here, the one by the Seahawks. Van Noy came in there with, I guess the Seahawks did run 3 plays. I don't remember what it'll tell us right here. Incomplete pass by Geno Smith. Then Geno Smith sacked by Kyle Van Noy. Then, back-to-back, sacked again by Kyle Van Noy. Kyle Van Noy forced fumble recovered by, Broderick Washington recovered the fumble. So I don't know why the man didn't get a little, thing here saying that he recovered a fumble. What's it there for? And a few passes defended. Davian Clowney, Travis Jones, Michael Pierce getting their big paws up there, blocking Geno Smith's passes. And as we talking about Geno Smith passing, good to another Geno Smith overthrowing his target. Well, Geno Stone was right there. That's right. Geno Stone, another interception. Yeah, that's what I wanted. Well, it's not exactly what I wanted. You know what I really wanted? I want to get to this stat. Let's go to player stat. Interceptions. As you can see here, player stat page, Geno Stone, 6 interceptions, leading the NFL. Where was the team stat page? Oh, let's go to team stat page. Click on the defense. Sort by sack. Ravens, 35 sacks. Next closest, Chiefs. So the Ravens are leading as a team in sacks, and one of their players is leading in interceptions. That's defense is getting it done. I love seeing that. It really is enjoyable because as much as stuff happens in the NFL, mostly offensive related, it's nice to see the defense still has something to contribute. They haven't completely taken the game away from defense players yet. Yet, anyway. Oh, I am on... Okay, getting back to Raven numbers. Don't necessarily care about that. Queen tackle for a loss. Matabike with a sack, also stuffing running backs twice as it's listed here. Owe. Got another sack under Owe's belt. He's getting there. He's getting back. He does look to be a little more improved this year than, let's say, last year. I do think part of it is the Ravens have brought more pieces in. Brought Clowney in to help with the pass rush. You brought Van Noy in to help with the pass rush. You brought back Michael Pierce, one of those big monster guys in the middle. That helps because you have to double team him. He is so big, so strong, you have to double team him, which leaves your outside rusher guys not being double teamed. Matabike, who I think is in a contract year, other big guy in the middle, helps a lot. More motivation there, keeping guys like Broderick Washington around. Brett Urban, he's not listed on here. Who's the other guy? Not Washington. Who's the other guy? Jones. Where he hit a pass defended. Where is he? Travis Jones is another guy. That's something that the Ravens have done well. And that's bring in big, good interior defensive linemen. and that will help you on the outside. And it's worked well this year because they brought in some good veterans. Veterans, but not to the point where they're on their way out of the league, with all due respects to Justin Houston. All right, what other notes do I have on here? Finally falling on a fumble. It did seem like the Ravens have been punching the ball out a lot this year, but just haven't been able to fall on it. It's good to see that. Did I ever get to that point? Yeah, Ravens were trying to score, at the end of the half, even if it's just a field goal because they were going to get it the second half. Beckham fumbles. Finally, Van Noy gets in there, pops the ball out, and we fall on it and are able to, continue the drive and actually put points on before half. Really aren't the way the game went, 37-3. You probably would have thought that there would be more flashy numbers from your defense. But the Seahawks just didn't have the ball that much. They threw a lot. Geno Smith, make sure I'm saying the right Geno, missed a lot of throws. Not as accurate, at least, as Lamar Jackson on the other side, which helped it. You had all these good plays by the defense, but yet their numbers aren't that sexy because the offense played well too. Kept drives going. Very few 3 and outs, if any. Except maybe, later on in the game. Oh, even later in the game. That was 11 plays, 9 plays, 4 plays, but they got the touchdown. 14 plays on a field goal, 6 plays on a field goal, 5 plays on a field goal, and this one fumble, 1 play and then fumble. 12 plays on a touchdown, 3 plays and fumble. That doesn't help. 13 plays, touchdown, 5 plays and punt. The first quarter did kind of start out like that. 6 plays and punt, 5 plays and then punt. But Ravens offense righted their ship. Ravens defense equaled the Seahawks defense here in the first quarter. Able to stuff and bat passes down. Really is, everybody wants to make the comparison to the 2000 Ravens defense. And yes, but at the same time, this Ravens defense is not relied on as much as in the past. The offense, and you can see it right here, actually scored more points in the second half of this game than they did in the first half, which is what I'm talking about, closing out games. You can't go and score no points in the second half. That's not closing out a game. To put pressure on your opponent. Pressure was put on your opponent here, and they crumbled. All right, let's wrap this up. I was already kind of wrapping it up. But well-played game on both sides of the ball. Yeah, the offense put the ball on the ground a few times, but to a certain extent, with the way the rules are, offensive, your skill position players are going to get the ball in their hands more often. Mostly because there just isn't allowed to be that much contact between a cornerback and, let's say, a wide receiver. So cornerbacks are going to play off them a little more openings. And therefore, more balls in these wide receivers' hands, they're going to try to run more after the catch. And what's the defender going to do? He can't be physical with you at the line, so he's going to be physical with you even more, tackling you, and go for the ball knocking out. I wanted to say go for the strip sack, but that's not whatever the equivalent of a strip sack is when you're in the open field hitting a wide receiver. We don't have a name for that, do we? punching out the ball, I guess, is best we got. So plays like that Beckham thing are going to happen. But what you need to cut down is Lamar not taking a 3-step drop when you're already in the shotgun, being 10 yards behind the line of scrimmage. Your offensive tackle is trained to make a pocket. Well, you're running out of the back of the pocket. You got to stop doing that. But really the only miscues, the Seattle offense was not up to the task on overcoming that, mainly because the Ravens defense stopped them. Ravens offense put up a lot of points. Ravens defense didn't allow much of anything except one field goal. Great team win. Great to see Odell Beckham Jr. finally in the end zone on his birthday. And looking ahead, Sunday. Right, I'm going to make sure I'm at the right week here. Week 10, Cleveland Browns coming into Baltimore. They made note of this on the broadcast that actually have kind of a lot of home games second half of the season. Had a lot of road games early. So, where am I at? All right, getting out of here. So, Ryno's Ravens preview will be approximately Saturday evening time, going over the Browns. Be sure to like and subscribe. Be notified when videos like that drop. I am the Angry Ryno. Fly, Ravens, fly.